Did Notre Dame just give the Texas A&M Aggies bulletin board material for their showdown this weekend?
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. You are Locked On the Texas A&M Aggies. I am your host, Matt Galatzan, publisher of Texas A&M Aggies on SI. Thank you for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. DJ, it appears that Notre Dame's wide receiver Jaden Greathouse may have given the Aggies a little bit of bulletin board material heading into their matchup this weekend in South Bend. We're going to talk about that. We're going to give our bold predictions for the game this weekend, and then go through some prop bets like we do every week and see where we have these players finishing on passing yards, touchdowns, rushing yards, et cetera, et cetera. So let's get into the bulletin board material. Jaden Greathouse, an Austin native, Texas native, almost went to the University of Texas at one point, decided on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, was a major player in their college football playoff run last year, particularly in the last two games. He had, I believe, like 11 or 12 receptions over that 2-game stretch for, nearly 300 yards and a couple touchdowns. He was held without a catch in week one, which was very surprising to a lot of people because some believe him to be their number one receiver. Now, Mr. Greathouse has come out and said some pretty inflammatory things about the Aggie secondary. It's not crazy. It's not like he's calling them trash or he's saying this or he's saying that, but he did give him a little jab. And we're going to read you the quote right here. Notre Dame wide receiver Jaden Greathouse talking about the Aggies secondary. They have a lot of good athletes in their secondary. They like to get handsy a lot, that type of deal, but it shouldn't be anything that we can't handle. Is that really something you want to say before being on the national stage against a team that a lot of people are now starting to believe could pull off an upset, DJ?
No, not at all. Not at all. Last year I looked it up because I was like, there's no way this kid's talking, because last year he didn't do anything against the Aggies. He had 26 yards, and it was just like, really? Like, you didn't do anything last year. They clearly gave you issues. So now this year, with a group that's arguably better than the one that was last year, you're going to talk crap about it? I don't know. I can't get behind it, but, A&M secondary usually likes to – we saw what happened with the whole blanket situation with Willie and Missouri and how that went for Missouri. So we'll see what happens this week.
Yeah, that's a good shout out, because that was a big part of what Texas A&M had for motivation against Missouri last year. They completely shut down that passing game. They completely shut down almost every aspect of the Missouri offense after those comments. Brady Cook also last year had said something to the effect of, the crowd in College Station isn't going to be that intimidating, blah, 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 blah. This is a Texas A&M secondary, and I'll get back into Greathouse in a minute. But this is a Texas A&M secondary that last week, and I know it's Utah State, but last week against Utah State, they gave up 172 yards through the air. And then in week one against UTSA, which, again, I know is UTSA, but they have a very talented quarterback in Owen McCowan. McCowan threw for 121 yards in that game. So the Aggies have given up around 290 yards through the first couple of games through the air. As far as where that ranks in the country, it's a little early to really put a statement on that, because A lot of teams have only played a couple games. Every team has pretty much only played a couple games. There are a lot of teams that have faced primarily rushing teams. But, the Aggies are, and I'm pulling up these stats now as we speak, they give up 171 yards through the air, and they have given up 4 passing touchdowns through the first 2 games, which isn't terrible. They only give up 5.3 yards per reception, which is a key stat there because that means they get on you early. They don't let you go. So I feel like they're going to be pretty well equipped to handle this admittedly talented wide receiver core from Notre Dame with Jordan Faison and Jaden Greathouse and some of these other guys. The tight end is really good. But Jaden Greathouse, 4-star recruit in the 2023 class, was the number 44 receiver in the country coming out of Austin Westlake. 6'2", 220 pounds, big guy, athletic guy. He has not recorded a stat this year in their first game against Miami. In 2024, he finished the season with I'm pulling this up now as well. He finished the season with 42 catches for 592 yards and 4 touchdowns. Pretty solid numbers there. The problem is that 13 of those receptions were 233 yards, so the vast majority of his yardage stats came in the college football play. It's a big stage. Don't get me wrong, it's a big stage. But just in my opinion, perhaps, maybe you don't want to poke the bear. Maybe you don't want to talk too much when you have not exactly had the most consistent career, in the world there at Notre Dame. I'm sure Marcus Freeman was like, man, why'd you say that? I'm sure CJ Carr is like, man, now they're really going to come after me in the pass rush. But it's certainly it's a bold strategy, Cotton. See if it pays off for them, right?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where some of the guys like Jeremiah Love are going to be looking at him like, well, I don't know why you said that, man. Now they're going to be ticked off when they get here. But if it was coming from someone else, I get it, but not him.
Yeah, and then you look at what the Aggies have in the secondary just real quick, and we know what to expect out of Will Lee. He's one of the best corners in the SEC. There's this other guy also. His name is Des Ricks, and he currently has the most snaps played in college football without allowing a catch. 54 straight snaps for Des Ricks without allowing a single reception. That's a lot of snaps without allowing a catch, and it's and the guy throwing out the challenge doesn't have a catch yet this year. So we'll see. Maybe they match up Des Ricks on Jaden Greathouse. I feel like that would be a really fun matchup to watch regardless. But certainly an interesting choice there from Jaden Greathouse. We'll see how that turns out for him. I expect the Aggies will be a tad motivated, especially in the secondary when it comes to that. But DJ, let's take our first break. When we come back, we are going to talk about our bold predictions for the game. I may have one that includes Jaden Greathouse. We'll see. So everybody stick around for that, and we will be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by DoorDash. It's almost the weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For Texas A&M, I think the choice has been obvious. It's Mario Craver. He ranks in the top 10 in the country right now in receiving yards. He ranks in the top 3 in the country, I believe, in receiving touchdowns. Somewhere around there, he's up at the very, very top. He has been breakout in the first game. He's been a breakout performer in the second game. He's put his foot to the gas with no hesitation and no delay. And if you've been watching this, those performances were not a fluke. It's now 2 weeks in a row, and Mario Craver is on a streak. And just like Craver delivered for the Aggies, DoorDash delivers for your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you can save money every time you order. Stack it up all season, and you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. All right. Bold prediction time, DJ. I'm going to go first here. This is the biggest matchup of the college football weekend, in my opinion. You could argue Tennessee and Georgia is the other one. It's pretty neck and neck there. That's where game day is. But obviously, this being an Aggie podcast, we're going to be a little bit slanted toward being more interested in Texas A&M versus Notre Dame. And, hey, this one is in prime time. This one is in South Bend. This one has an opportunity to give the Aggies a historical win because they have not won a top 25 matchup on the road in like an inordinate amount of time. I have to go back and look to see exactly what that was, and I will while you're talking, giving your point. But that could be historical for Texas A&M. Notre Dame, if they lose this football game, they may not get another chance to make a college football playoff argument because they at this moment, I don't believe they play another ranked team for the rest of the year. Their schedule is an absolute cakewalk from here. So it's a big one. And there's going to be some big time predictions from us here in our bold predictions segment. First up, I will go first. I think that Jaden Greathouse will finish with under and this, we'll talk about our prop bets here in a minute. But I think he finishes with less than 3 catches, and Des Ricks shuts him down big time.
Yeah, I think that after all that crap that he's been talking, I wouldn't be surprised if Des Ricks comes, with a fire lit under his butt. I think Des Ricks obviously has shown that he has the ability to shut guys down. He's been one of the most just reliable guys in the A&M secondary this year. And I think Greathouse is going to come out of that game, with 0 stats reported still.
Okay. So even bolder from DJ on that one. All right,
yeah.
DJ, give me your first one.
My first one is I feel really, really good about the Aggies in this one. I think they're going to go in there, and I think they're going to win. And I think they're going to win more handedly than people would think. I think they're going to win by 10.
Okay.
10. I like the matchup. They have the fire under them from last year. Notre Dame went to Kyle, beat them at home, first game of the year, first game of Elko's career as an Aggie. And I think A&M is returning pretty much that entire team. They got better at quarterback. They got better at receiver. They got better in the secondary. I'd be shocked if Notre Dame won this one.
Okay, I like that one. I'm going to go a little bit different. I also tend to agree. I think that I have Texas A&M winning this game. I talked about it yesterday. I think that they cover the spread. I'm not prepared to say double digits yet, but I like where your head's at. I think that's certainly a possibility, especially if Texas A&M stops the run. For my next one, there's been a lot made of the Texas A&M Aggies running defense so far this year. They got gashed by UTSA. Gashed, I tell you. Notre Dame couldn't do anything on the ground against Miami. They only ran the ball with their 2 best running backs like a total of 16 times combined or something like that, which is absolutely crazy to me. I think that the Aggies hold the Notre Dame running game in check. Jeremiah Love is due for hit. I think he's going to have his second pedestrian performance in a row. And then Jadarian Price is probably going to be their best back, but I don't see him really doing anything either. I think Texas A&M shuts this running game down, especially with Dalton Brooks being back. And, this is going to be a really tough offensive outing for the Irish.
That's something that would be something, especially after these past 2 weeks. A&M's run game, it's not even just this season either. It was last year too. That would definitely be the time for A&M to turn it around, especially against a team that's supposed to be one of the best rushing teams in the country.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to give you one more, but before I do that, I found the road win stat, so I want to bring that up really quickly before I give you my final bold prediction here. Texas A&M's last ranked win on the road was 2014 versus Auburn. Texas A&M's last true road win was versus a non-conference Power 4 team was in 2002 versus Pittsburgh, and Texas A&M's last win versus a non-conference opponent was in 1979 against Penn State. So this is a massive, massive opportunity for Texas A&M to break a trend and make some history here. But regardless, my final bold prediction for you, DJ, is that after this week, after Texas A&M wins this game, after Marcel Reed and Mario Craver and all these guys carve up the Notre Dame defense and win this game by covering the spread, Texas A&M is going to not only jump into the top 10, but they are going to be the story of college football. And everybody is going to have their eyes set on the Aggies going into SEC play.
I like that. Yeah, I think this could kind of be similar to what the narrative was after the Florida game and the LSU game last year. How it was just kind of, A&M might be something this year. And then it felt like after those two games, it was like, hold on, we actually have to watch A&M. But I think that this is the caliber of game that can push them into that upper echelon of college football. Especially going to South Bend, going to Notre Dame, such a storied franchise and program, that you just can't really get anything much better than that for the Aggies. Especially being able to, make history like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. All right, let's take our last break. When we come back, we're going to do our prop bets. We're going to pick over-unders on passing yards, passing touchdowns, rushing, receiving, all that jazz. So stick with us after this break. I think you're going to like what we have to say about what the Aggies are going to do here in their totals. So stick with us, and we'll be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else as of August of 2025. From footwork to breath work, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings this same attention to how we craft every model. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move or be moved. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet, player props, which we're about to do here in a minute with Texas A&M, building same-game parlays, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. Place your first $5 bet. All right, DJ, prop bet time to close out the show. We're going to get into a few of these here. And we left a little bit of extra time for this one because I wrote down a bunch of them. And I don't know if we're going to get through all of them or not, but we're gonna do our damnedest to try. So let's get into it. My first one that I have for you is anytime touchdown by Jeremiah Love. He is one of the best running backs in college football. A&M's run defense, the jury is still out on it. So I can understand why people would want to hammer this one. I am going to say no. I do not think that he gets a touchdown in this game.
I'm a little hesitant because, ideally you think about Jeremiah Love and it's like, he's going to score. But I just don't. After that performance not last week, but 2 weeks ago, I don't know if he does. I think if he does, it'll be late in the game, kind of garbage time, just 1 or 2 yard touchdown. But I agree with you. I wouldn't take that.
Yeah, I think that if either of the running backs here score for Notre Dame, it's going to be Jadarian Price. My next one for you, Mario Craver, anytime touchdown. He's already got 3 touchdown catches this year. He had 2 against UTSA. He had 1 against Utah State. I think he keeps the streak alive, DJ. I'm giving him the anytime touchdown.
I agree. And the way he's been scoring, it isn't just, he just happens to be the guy open, at the end of the drive. He's been the guy that has consistently got them there too. It's not like he's catching the ball from Marcel, who's throwing it, on the 10-yard line. Some of these touchdowns, it's like he's getting the ball on the 30, on the 40, and taking it the rest of the way. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets that. I'd actually be shocked if he didn't.
Yeah, I would be too. He looks like he is just extremely dialed in. And you get him the ball in space, he can score from anywhere on the field. Let's move on to let's do receiving over-unders. We're going to stick with Mario Craver here. Over under 52.5. I think he gets an explosive play in this game and he goes over.
I agree. He's one of those guys that all it takes is one play to get over that. So I don't see him not getting that.
Yeah, and then we'll also go KC Concepcion over 40.5. I'm also going to go over here. Both of these guys have just been so explosive so far. I don't see any reason why that's going to slow down, and I don't see any reason why Marcel Reed won't be looking for them early and often.
Yeah, that's especially after what Notre Dame saw at Texas A&M last year on the ground. I'm sure A&M will try and switch it up and go through the air, much like what we saw these past 2 weeks. So I think he gets it.
Okay, let's go over to Jaden Greathouse, the big talking Notre Dame wide receiver. Maybe we blew this a little bit out of proportion. It was still an unnecessary comment. Either way, his over-under is at 26.5 receiving yards. I think he gets over here, but not by much. I think he gets a couple catches and goes over. Maybe gets like 30 yards or so.
Yeah, I can see that. But I'm going to double down and say he's not doing it. I think he's going to walk out of this game with 0 yards.
Okay. 2 weeks in a row, no catches for Jaden Greathouse, according to DJ Burton. Let's jot that down. All right, let's go to rushing. Jeremiah Love over under 77.5 yards. This is a tough one for me because I do think that they're going to try to run the ball early. I think they're going to be able to keep Jeremiah out of the end zone. I do think that they're going to largely shut down this rushing game. So I'm going to go under. I think he's going to have a little bit of production. I think they're going to give him the ball more than 6 times on the ground. I think he's probably going to get somewhere upwards of 50 or 60 yards. But I don't see him hitting that 77.5 mark.
I'll take the over there. I feel like he's kind of the bread and butter of their offense. But like you said, I think they're going to keep going back to him. So, if he's getting 3 yards a carry on 15 rushes, I think he'll get there. And if not, I think he'll bust open a 15, 20-yarder that here and there that'll put him over. Okay.
Le'Veon Moss, Texas A&M star running back, really looked like he was in the groove last week after not doing much against UTSA. The over-under is currently sitting at 51.5. This is a tough one for me, DJ. This is a really tough one for me. I would like to, say that he gets an over here on this one. Last year against the Irish, he had 20 carries for 70 yards. I think that, based on that, I don't think that the Notre Dame rush defense is as talented as it was last year. It's still very good. I'm going to take the over. I think he gets over. I think he has somewhere around 15 carries for like 60 yards, something like that. I don't think he does anything overly explosive, I think if either of the running backs get an explosive play, it's going to be Ruben Owens. That's nothing against Le'Veon Moss. I just think that they're going to really hone in on him a lot and try and take him away. So I'm going to go the over, but I don't expect him to have a huge night.
I'm going to take the under there, and that's not out of – I don't think Moss is going to be the guy. I think that A&M's just going to share the ball a lot. I think, I think they're probably going to run the ball 30 times, but I think, Daniels, I think Moss, I think Owens are each going to have, 10 carries each. And then I wouldn't be surprised to see E.J. Smith getting involved in there too, taken away from the carries from those guys. So it's not out of – I don't think he's going to be able to. I think he's just not going to have the amount of carries that he needs to get there.
Yeah, I mean, that very well could be possible. I mean, you talk about Ruben Owens and Le'Veon Moss and E.J. Smith. Terry Bussey could get involved in the run game. Casey Concepcion could get involved in the run game, at least on jet sweeps, something like that, which I know is technically a pass. Don't come at me in the comments. I know what that is, but I'm just saying the short stuff that could happen. And let's not forget about Marcel Reed either. He's going to be involved in this running game as well. His legs are his best attribute. So, and he has been very good through the air, but his legs are still his best attribute. That's no secret. So I like that one. We're going to close out with a couple from Marcel Reed here. I don't care about CJ Carr's passing stats. He's a true freshman. He's making his second start. It's going to be on a national stage. I don't expect him to do a whole lot in this game. So we'll stick with Marcel Reed here, who oddly enough is the seasoned veteran of this quarterback battle. First one, Marcel Reed over under 190.5 yards through the air. I am hammering the over on this one. I think Texas A&M is going to have some explosive plays in the passing game. Craver, Concepcion, one of these tight ends, Terry Bussey. Somebody is going to break one. I think multiple people are going to break one for big plays. I think A&M's going to be able to score in this football game, so I'm taking the over there for sure.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. A&M has too many weapons that Marcel can get the ball to. So I completely agree. I think he's going to probably smash that.
Yeah, and then finally, Marcel Reed over under 1.5 passing touchdowns. Hammer the over, DJ. I think both Concepcion and Craver get one, and I think Terry Bussey is going to have a huge game here. I think he is going to get a touchdown as well. I have 3 passing touchdowns in this game for Marcel Reed, so I'm hammering the over on that one as well.
Yeah, I agree there. Those are all 3 guys that, we saw last week, we saw it the week before. They all can get involved, and they can all find the end zone, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, and listen, DJ and I are not gambling experts. You can tell by my record so far on the season with picking games. I'm currently sitting at 3-8, so do not take this as gambling advice. But if you do decide to gamble, go to FanDuel. Anyway, that's going to do it for another episode of Locked On Aggies. Thank you so much for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. But hey, it's another big moment for Locked On college football fans. Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation alongside 2-time AP Coach of the Year Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. It's a college football preview that only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. That is tonight, ladies and gentlemen, so please make sure you check that out. But don't forget to like the video, subscribe to our channel, give me a follow on Texas A&M Aggies on SI and on X at Matt Galatzan. Follow DJ on X at DJ Burt, and we will see you next time. Aggies by double digits is indeed bold, DJ.